casas al lado, agua podrida con gente al costado. Agua podrida, agua podrida, agua podrida, podrida, agua podrida, 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 agua podrida, podrida, agua podrida, 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 podrida. Agua podrida corriendo despacio, agua podrida criando batracios. Agua podrida, agua podrida, agua podrida cuajada cortada, agua podrida habitada poblada. Agua podrida, agua podrida, agua podrida en la calle sedienta, agua podrida que pide tormenta. Agua podrida, agua podrida, agua podrida, podrida, agua podrida, 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 agua podrida, podrida, agua podrida, 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 podrida.
So while people are still sitting down, I think I can do it because I know that all of you are on Twitter that Rodrigo Grato has been detained. Spanish banker who was brought to process for people who don't know who Rodrigo Grato is, for our international members. It's confirmed, it's for sure, he has been arrested. For our international friends, Rodrigo Grato is one of the biggest responsibles for Well, I actually came up here 2%. The second to last audiovisual source code of our Themos 98 festival. So it's a bit strange to see an initiative die where all of us have worked so hard for, with an audiovisual source code like Belén Gopegui's. And you know, it's so lively, it's so full of life, it's ironic. But that's how things are. The visual source code is something that we've worked on for many years, and it's not quite a conference nor a video projection, but on the contrary, it's what it's not. It doesn't matter what it means. You've been to many audiovisual source codes, so I don't have to explain it. I will talk about Belén Gopegui and who she is. She's a philosophy student of Juan Blanco. She got her title she got a law degree, which she doesn't care about because she's never actually acted as a lawyer, and she's a writer. She's published films as The Scale of the Maps, The Real, The Night Committee, etc. Books, which they call children books, like The Being Hit by the Ball or The Friend That Came Out of an Old Computer. She learned about the commons in the Prosperidad popular school. She says free knowledge in spaces and web pages like relevillon.g or Diagonal, a newspaper. And something that doesn't appear in her biography, but to me is very important, is that Belén and I have a common friend called Alex. And Alex hasn't had a good time lately. She's unemployed, she has a daughter called Marina, and she's gone back to her parents' place to live because of precariousness and between jobs. So Alex wrote in a digital medium not too long ago, we live in two rhythms between what's real and what's possible. We live between two rhythms between what's real, what's possible, and what we want to make real. This is what we breathe. Alex says that the impossible is a province of the possible, the most remote one, but it does exist, and sometimes you do get there. Alex, to tell the truth, is actually a character from Comité de la Noche, the Night Committee, Belén's latest novel, but she exists because, as she says, fiction is a province of what's real. So this evening, Belén is going to present that province to us. She's going to take us there so we don't have to walk all the way. So I'll leave you with Belén. But first of all, to thank Staco, hello, from Guerrilla Translation, and Nuria Rodriguez, the simultaneous translation work that we're carrying out, which, as we all know, is very demanding. Thank you. Yay! Okay. So, hello, good evening. Ooh, I'm a bit scared. So, I put that song on that you've been listening to up till now, and so, to make the atmosphere a bit more relaxed and to relax myself, because they keep telling me that I don't have to be so serious when I speak publicly, because every shy person who's a bit scared, we end up scaring everyone else. And, that's not my intention, clearly. So, okay. So I wanted to play this song. But before that, I wanted to thank all of you for being here. And especially to thank Themos for existing, for being here, for resisting, for saying no, and saying let's go forward wherever we may get to, and doing everything the way they do it well. So I want a big applause for them. I also wanted to, because there's translation, and when I'm nervous I start speaking really quick, if I start going really quick, tell me so, signal it to me so I can go slow and they can translate me properly. So the second reason because why I played this song is the contrast, because agua podrida, rotten water, it's what's opposed to what's nice, and I really want to talk about what is nice. So talking about what's nice doesn't mean that I'm not worried about what's not nice, rotten water, with people on the side, as mentioned in the song. Rotten water that rots life itself. It's not that I don't care about, on the contrary, because I care about it. Today I have decided not to talk about realism. Since a few years back I have this passion, and this brings up a dilemma for me, and also problems, and I like nice films. And so where I'm coming from literature, there's even more problems coming from this, because when I say nice films, I'm talking about really nice films, not like steak and chips, but like chocolate, sweets, candy, some licorice, just the sweetest things you can imagine. I hope my sons are not watching the video, because they'll start eating this stuff. So not even spinach and nut salad, which is really nice. I'm talking about nice. Oops.
Algodón de azúcar.
That was cotton candy. That's sweet. That nice. It dances, but it's still sweet candy. So Lucas Tello, who's introduced me, who has been a really important part in the visual presentation of this source code, has written in his Twitter profile, I like nice things. Because the word nice is written, in lowercase, while beauty is written in uppercase, is capitalized. Nice is lowercase, and that's why I like it too. And to tell the truth, nice, it's diminutive. It's it comes from what's good, what's the little good. Nice. What I want to talk about today is if we need what's nice, if it's little commons that we have to share and care about. In my case, the nice films that I do like are, they're not about love or especially sad, but they're films about, like collective dignity and effort. But I insist they are really nice, and I'm not referring to, like Salt of the Earth, which is a film that I love, which is a great realist film. I'm talking about stuff like, softer and infused with fantasy, a genre that does not only talk about things as they are, but mixes them up with how they could be, or how it would be really nice for them to be. So I'm going to start talking about a genre, a subgenre, in fact, within this genre of what's nice, that deals with these stories about effort and collective dignity. This is what I call the house that doesn't give up, something like this that you see. This is a genre that's almost peculiar to capitalism. I don't think it exists in other cultures because it's normally like a man that fights against speculation. Against speculation, there's a place that doesn't give up. And this place, in nice films, ends up winning the battle, which is a bit worrying because we know that this doesn't really happen in real life. But at the same time, what do? Do we just give up on this type of films, or can we rescue something from them? So where I'm coming from is that we honestly need what's nice. We can say it that way, but we also need this critical sense to know what's behind what is nice. So I'm going to play a film by Capra. In Spanish, it was called That Way. It's A Wonderful Life, the original title, and it's a typical story about a rich man who wants to speculate. This whole neighborhood, but there's this one house with an old person that doesn't, an eccentric old person who's not lonely but doesn't want to sell it. This person has friends, has a community, and he doesn't want to sell his property. So let's play it. Okay, a little bit more. So you understand the scene. There's at some stage the rich person gets the main player to sell the house, but the rich person starts getting really sad because, as it happens in films, the rich man's son has fallen in love with the daughter of the eccentric old man who's the owner of the house. So the rich man's son has abandoned him. Like, okay, keep your money, keep your victory. I'm going away. It's your fault. I can't get together with the girl I love. So the rich man, who's feeling like really, really dour about this, asks the eccentric old man for advice.
You've got to stop thinking in terms of fortune. You know what I do when I run smack into a crisis? I just take out my harmonica and I play on it until that crisis just fades away.
Oh, please don't joke about this.
I'm not joking about it. You asked my advice and I'm giving it to you. I think that if we played a duet together, you and I, on the harmonica, you brought it with you, didn't you?
Huh?
Yes, fine. Now, let's play a duet, good and loud, and you will be surprised what might happen. Let's see, what do we play? You know Polly Wolly Doodle? You ought to know it.
Polly Wolly Doodle?
Yeah, we drove you almost crazy with it once. You know it, of course you do. Now, come on. Let's play it. Good and loud now. And swing it.
You should know it's important to know that he wasn't selling the house out of greed. He was selling it to protect his daughter, and they're taking it all apart. But it was a special house where other people lived. He didn't live on their own. He also let people live there who did special things, like this woman who dances, or the person playing, or a banker who makes Easter eggs. And that's the son and the daughter. leave them there. It's the last scenes in the film. Obviously, they don't end up demolishing the house. The boy marries the girl. The eccentric old man is everybody's friend. And that's where the movie ends, with a happy ending. This film tells us about two things that are nice, but I don't think they're true. And so we have to be careful with them, because they're telling us that we don't need to be careful, but they confuse us in this case. One is they say that money is not important. He says, don't worry about money. But the fact is that they're two owners. So this man is the owner of this house, which has to be maintained. They has to pay the servants, the people who live there. And the other thing that this film tells us, and that we shouldn't really believe, is that capitalism is not totalitarian. It says that capitalism can be moderated, that it can be toned down. So this man has realized that there are other values in life, and so he can decide not to demolish the house. So it's saying that the rich don't necessarily act following money value, so maybe he won't, in real life, maybe he wouldn't demolish this house, but he might demolish another 3 houses in other places. So we shouldn't accept these messages. But there is something else that the film tells us that I think it is true, which is the truth that there is something to fight for. It's the truth of the harmonica, I call it. It's like the truth is that there's a place where we play the harmonica, and a place that we should fight for, and that even if capitalism can destroy almost anything, it's very hard for capitalism to destroy the harmonica place. And why do these films mix truths and lies, comforting truths and lies? It's a German writer who wrote about the industry of consciousness. That consciousness can be produced, so industry can package voices, can package ideas, but it can't produce them, because imagination is a social structure, it's a common good, and industry also needs imagination. So it's like the step from the popular, from the folk to the massive. So even though traditional folk culture can exist, the industry can come in and make it massive. So even though this film offers comforting ideas that are lies, but also this comforting an idea that is true, which is the idea of the harmonica. Now I'm going to play another totally mainstream film, which is called Step Up Revolution 4. This is a similar case, but at a different scale. So we have an investor who wants to make a port for a marina, and he has to destroy a space in order to make it. So it's in Miami, and there's a collective called The Mob, which do cultural activism, and it's a group that isn't involved in neighborhood activism at the beginning, but at the end they do end up joining the neighborhood fight and putting their energy, and this is what happens.
Present to him, as a token of this occasion, the shovel that would say... Hello? Hello?
That's the investor, and that's the daughter who has fallen in love.
Son of a bitch. That's good.
Ladies and gentlemen,
What the hell is that?
for weeks you've been asking, who is the mob? The mob is all of us. The mob is Miami. And Miami is its culture. And if you take down the culture, you take down Miami. We have something important to say. So now, let all say it in the best way we know how.
So the film, in general, is not really that believable. I mean, there's this scene that you don't see that the mayor, you know, like he loves people picking him up, you know, like just throwing him around to the music, and well, what can I say? As you can see, it's an inversion of what I spoke about in the earlier film. Is the daughter of this speculated guy who's fallen in love with the mob leader. So this is what happens after the boycott.
There's no way we can stop you from destroying our neighborhood. But we wanted to show you what's being lost in the process.
Hey, sorry about this, Bill. Things didn't quite go as planned.
Good, because the plan just changed. Maybe there's a way we can build this neighborhood up without tearing it down. What do you say?
Well, as you can see, the real estate tycoon doesn't have any problems, you know, like changing opinion. He has his investors, he may have debts, he may have plans, but, you know, there's no problems. In 1 second, he turns the whole thing around and, you know, he doesn't care anymore. But there's a twist to this, because he's a bit worried because his daughter has fallen in love with, you know, like, still a poor person. But, you know, that's the state of things.
Oh, not now, Bob.
Actually, I wanted to talk to him, not you. Oh? I'm Bob Cooper, owner of the marketing firm Mr. Anderson employed. I hope you don't object, but our biggest client is actually Nike.
Yeah?
They're looking for something different and a little more cutting edge for their new campaign. I think your crew is perfect. Y'all ready to introduce the mob to the world?
What do you think?
What do I think? Where do I sign?
Well, I say no more. He picks up the card. The other one asks him, what do you think about it? You know, he's been the most radical. He didn't want to participate in anything. So, what can I say? What can I tell you? The film, once again tells us, you know, a few lies. But at the same time, and, you know, beyond that, it is a film that does talk about the struggle of a community, about something that they believe it's fair and they want to defend. So what I want to think is that this theme, it's still very powerful. So someone, you know, the producers, the scriptwriter, all of them together, they decided, okay, let's put this interference, you know, this positive control and demobilization, which is like turning this into an advertisement and putting the struggle to the service of Nike. That's to give a multinational the monopoly of recognition within this sphere. So now I'm going to switch genres just for a little bit. So I've played a film that I saw with my mothers to my translator. You can say my parents, there's gender in Spanish. We say padres, which is parents, the masculine. She prefers to say feminine. So a film that I saw with my mothers, then a film that I watched with my children. 70 years between them. As you can see, the girl is still, you know, her role is to make the main character fall in love with her. So as far as gender representation goes, that's not nice at all, is it? What can I tell you? I mean, total catastrophe in that regard. But, you know, we still have a lot a long way to go. Something else I want to explain. I've been talking about films that I saw with my mothers and with my sons, but there's something good that families have. Well, families have a lot of good things, but one of the best things about, like the modern mixed up family is that you end up living through references from various generations. So I'm going to play a film by the 80s, which I saw thanks to the children of my partner. I started seeing like 80s film with them. Then they grew up and I was still watching them. So I started searching on the internet, and I think it's, like the golden age of nice films. And, whenever I see, whenever I manage to grab anyone, I play them. So this one that I'm going to play is called Batteries Not Included. And this film, okay, small introduction. There's also this house that doesn't give up, but I like it because it's a house that's, it's renters, not owners. And it's renters that they know that life it's imperfect. It's an old couple. She has Alzheimer's. So there's a retired boxer who's lost his voice. So, people like us. So here we go. Whoops. Pause. Excuse me. Help! Oh no! Haha. I didn't explain to you that in this film the rich man doesn't change plans, but he actually resorts to violence to destroy the house. So it hasn't been destroyed because thunder brought it down, but actually it has been destroyed because the rich person chose to do so.
What the hell are you stopping for? That. Well, I don't see anything. It's just junk. Come on, get moving. We haven't got all day.
What's your hurry, Kovacs? The building's down. You won.
What the hell are you stopping for? That. Well, I don't see anything. It's just junk. Come on, get moving. We haven't got all day.
What's your hurry, Kovacs? The building's down. You won. Hip, hip, hooray. Now leave the guy alone. How long can he stay
look,
there?
I want him out of my way.
When he moves, we move. Not till then.
I should also tell you that this is a special house because there were some UFOs that have gotten lost and they needed energy, and so they landed on this house. And they needed energy because the mothership was going to have little baby UFOs. So they stayed here so that the mothership could reproduce and have its little ships. But once the little ships was left behind because it was born without batteries, and so this man is looking after them. He's the only one that's stayed to look after the little UFO without batteries. Oh. At this point is when I cry. I've got like Kleenex here if anybody needs them. So the extraterrestrials have come to help, and so the next day
unbelievable. I love the whole thing, especially the sconces and corbelling, the moldings released. Oh, it's perfect.
reported burned last night. Can you give us an explanation?
Obviously, somebody made a mistake.
Mr. Lacey,
What are your plans for this site in view of what's happened?
My plans remain unchanged.
Mr. Lacey.
Look, you know what I think? It's a fake. It's a prefab. It's fiberglass. These people are jerking us around.
Mr. Lacey, just one more thing.
Look, you want me to get rid of these reporters? I'll get rid of them for you, no problem.
You're fired, kid.
Well, as you can see, it's all very nice. Even though maybe not so believable that they don't fire this worker who's operating the tractor, who we love so much, but it is believable that they do fire the construction leader, because it's always the bosses that, you know, they fall from grace. Except for, you know, the rich people get away, except from Rato, who's been arrested today. But it is believable that the rich person doesn't change his plans. He says, you know, I'm gonna keep on doing my thing. So the film ends with the typical image that I played before. He makes all his skyscrapers, and there's this little house in the middle of it, but everything goes on as usual. So we can conceptualize this film as a reverse version of those Cold War films where the aliens were always evil and, you know, a symbol of revolutionaries who were also the utmost evil. So these are constructive aliens. But we can also think that the point of the film is that to reconstruct what has been destroyed, you almost need a miracle. And the miracle is the miracle that we could create commonly. So the most fantasy influenced film, in my opinion, out of the three of them, is the one that has the most truth. But now comes the second part of what I wanted to talk to you about today, which is if fiction needs to contain truth within it, because fiction is fiction. But whomever's telling us something always wants us to believe something or to believe in something. And that's something that they want us to believe in can appear to us as being true or false. If we ask ourselves what fiction is, the easy answer, you can find in the best 80s film of all time, and you will know it, which is The Princess Bride.
You feeling any better?
A little bit.
Guess what?
What?
Your grandfather's here.
Mom, can't you tell me I'm sick?
You're sick. That's why he's here.
He'll pinch my cheek. I hate that.
Maybe he won't.
Hey, how's the sickie? Huh?
I think I'll leave you two pals alone.
I brought you a special present.
What is it?
Open it up.
A book?
That's right. When I was your age, television was called books. And this is a special book. It was the book my father used to read to me when I was sick, and I used to read it to your father. And today, I'm going to read it to you.
Has it got any sports in it?
Are you kidding? Fencing, fighting, torture, revenge, giants, monsters, chases, escapes, true love, miracles.
Doesn't sound too bad. I'll try and stay awake.
Oh, well, thank you very much. It's very nice of you.
Your vote of confidence is overwhelming.
All right. The Princess Bride. By S. Morgenstern, Chapter 1. Buttercup was raised on a small farm in the country of Florin. Our favorite pastimes were riding her horse and tormenting the farm boy that worked there. His name was Wesley, but she never called him that. Isn't that a wonderful beginning?
Yeah, it's really good.
Bueno, pues no sé a vosotras, pero a mí.
Well, I don't know about you, but I get goosebumps with this story, this prodigious promised story. If we ask ourselves what the grandfather wants, you know, what he wants when telling the story, there's an easy answer. There's no trick. He wants his flu to go down easier, and he probably wants something else, which is that the child actually believes that there's a world of great adventure and true love. he wants something like what I'm going to play now from another film, which in English was called Secondhand Lions, which is a conversation between a pre-adolescent and his grandfather, uncle. He's got two uncles
Those stories about
who take care of him.
About you. They're true, aren't they?
Doesn't matter.
It does too. Around my mom, all I hear is lies. I don't know what to believe in.
Damn, if you want to believe in something, then believe in it. Just because something isn't true, that's no reason you can't believe in it. The long speech I give to young men sounds like you need to hear a piece of it. Just a piece. Sometimes, the things that may or may not be true are the things that a man needs to believe in the most. That people are basically good. That honor, courage, and virtue mean everything. That power and money and power mean nothing. That good always triumphs over evil. And I want you to remember this, that love true love never dies. You remember that, boy. You remember that. Doesn't matter if it's true or not, you see. A man should believe in those things because those are the things worth believing in. Got that?
That was a good speech.
Think so? Thanks.
When are you going to give me the rest of the speech?
Well, as you can see, both in this scene and in the scene before, there's this question that's really relevant. And they're both directed to a kid or to a preteen. Once again, it could have been, a girl or a female preteen, but this is the material that we have to work with. It's most abundant. So it's two types of people who are gonna come into life. The ages that you've gone through are always with you. They don't abandon you. But I want to play I should have gone I don't need to see the face of the person who's singing now. This one.
Yo me pregunto.
Well, what I'm wondering, the person who was filming this, what was he or she thinking? Someone with their age, with no ego whatsoever, to be able to sing like this. He's got all the honesty and sincerity, he couldn't care less. He's totally convinced about the song and what he's singing. So I think that's still going on, and there's rainy afternoons, and there's always a time to sing like this, and if not like this, to something like this next scene that I really recommend. You can do this at any age.
Without you by my side, but then I spent so many nights thinking how you did me wrong. I grew strong, and I learned how to get along. So now you're back from outer space. I just walked in to find you here with that sad look upon your face. I should have changed that stupid lock. I should have made you leave your key.
The others don't know what's going on, but they want to discover the music. They like the music.
Just turn around now, 'cause you're...
I don't know why the video's gone, but it doesn't matter. The thing is that so people get older and conflicts come along. So now I'm going to show you 4 images of conflicts. They're also taken from nice films. So we can see how conflicts can be handled within a nice context. The first is a US film called The Great Debaters. And it tells the story of a debate between a small university of black people against a big, prestigious
My father
university.
is one of those men that
Harvard
stands
in the
between
movie.
us and chaos. A police officer. I remember the day his partner, his best
The
friend,
girl's there because she's a debater.
was gunned
Nobody's
down
falling
in the
love with
line
her
of
in
duty.
this case.
Most vividly of all, I remember the expression on my dad's face. Nothing that erodes the rule of law can be moral, no matter what name we give it.
The subject of the debate between the two universities is, I've forgotten. The topic is whether civil disobedience can be a moral tool in the fight against injustice.
Why doesn't he say something? Shh.
In Texas, they lynch Negroes. My teammates and I saw a man strung up by his neck and set on fire. We drove through a lynch mob, pressed our faces against the floorboard. I looked at my teammates. I saw the fear in their eyes. And worse, the shame. What was this Negro's crime? That he should be hung without trial in a dark forest filled with fog? Was he a thief? Was he a killer? Or just a Negro? Was he a sharecropper? A preacher? Were his children waiting up for him? And who are we to just lie there and do nothing? No matter what he did, the mob was the criminal. But the law did nothing, just left us wondering why. My opponent says, nothing that erodes the rule of law can be moral. But there is no rule of law in the Jim Crow South. Not when Negroes are denied housing, turned away from schools, hospitals, and not when we are lynched. St. Augustine said, an unjust law is no law at all. Which means I have a right, even a duty, to resist. With violence or civil disobedience. You should pray I choose the latter.
Well, so what comes next?
Harvard University.
The outcome,
Wiley
because if
College.
it's a nice film, so you know who's going to win, right?
And the winner is...
We have to admit that the film softens the reality a bit, because it's based on a real event, but the real event wasn't against Harvard, it was against a big prestigious university, but not as symbolic as Harvard. And although in the true story the black team won, they weren't allowed to publicise their winning because so they weren't allowed to talk about it. So accepting the trophy has more ambiguous consequences than it has in the movie, because they got the trophy but they had to hide it until after the Second World War. But even so, even though the movie makes things nicer, even though there's the nice music, all these things that move us, there is an honest part in the discourse. I think it's a powerful discourse, and it has something that's quite unusual to find in films, which is when he says to the white people that they should pray so that the blacks, which we could say exploited people or women, that the whites should pray that the oppressed do not choose violence. And it's quite unusual to put that in a film. I think it's a good thing. Now I'm going to play another film that I'm sure you know of. So the long distance runner, we're not sure how it's called in English. And it's about athletics team at a reformatory with kids with problems against an athletics team at a rich white school. And so the story wins when the kid from the reformatory starts winning all the races, and he wins by a lot because he's getting all these frustrations out, and he wins by a lot. And so
taking a breather, I expect. We once had a runner back at the village who used to stop a minute or two on the touchline to show what he thought of the slow coaches behind.
He's the governor's blue-eyed boy, isn't he?
Well, you learn.
Whose bloody side are you on all of a sudden?
You don't get anywhere without effort, lad.
I'm no bleeding guinea pig for anybody.
So right here, he realizes that he's not tired, but he's letting himself loose. So as you can see, this is another posture in regards to this conflict. So what he's deciding is he knows who he doesn't want to run for. He doesn't want to run for this authority, this repressive authority, who's going to benefit from his victory. And even though he doesn't know who he wants to run for, the film communicates that there's this space for the possibility to learn. Maybe he can learn who he wants to run for. This is, out of all the films, this is the one that doesn't quite fit in with the nice genre, because he goes back to the boarding school and everything remains the same. But I think that this has this ethic that doesn't have any victims. There's like racing, and I wanted to include this. So to contrast this, I'm going to play a really, really nice film, almost for children, and it's this one.
Another couple hundredths off the start. Now they get better every time down the track.
In the Winter Olympics, and this is the Jamaican team. as you will understand, doesn't know anything about plays or, skiing or ice. They don't have any money. And they've gone there, even though people are making fun of them, with a bobsleigh, which is in not too good condition, as we'll soon see, but it's going there.
What a run Bannock is having. He's letting loose on this extremely fast course. And even with that rickety old sled, the Jamaicans are flying through the turns. This does not look good. Something's got to be wrong. The Jamaicans on a record pace as they fly almost out of control around the turn. Now the speed seems too much, and I don't think he's going to be able to hold it. Oh!
This is a manipulation at the sentimental level that borders on the intolerable, but we know that in nice films, the leading characters never do die, so that's why she feels so at ease. I don't cry on this scene, but on the next one, as you will see.
Therese, you're dead? No, man. I'm not dead. I have to finish the race. They're thrilled about what's happening. There's dead people coming back to life. They're practically carrying their own coffins. And above all, what I really find, what I really, what really wins me over is what's going to happen right now. Oh, I'm very vulnerable. This. This is what it is, but I don't know if you felt this way, but this has happened to you, but I've had to watch so many films where, like a team that has nothing going for it, but they're really fun and they're good people, but they end up winning over the discipline-rich team. And, there's millions of films like this. But I think that this particular one is, a bit wiser. Because they're not telling us about a victory, the typical victory where, like the poor basketball team that finally triumphs. What they're really telling us is that when you have a bobsleigh that's good for nothing, that it's all broken, when you haven't been able to train for the necessary time, nor prepare properly, well, it's quite probable that your bobsleigh will break down. But in spite of that, you can still pick yourself up on the ground and, just carry the bobsleigh on your back. And beyond that, this can be a common group decision, and it's also highly probable, but not definitive, but highly probable, that this is the highest aspiration you can reach without changing the game rules. So what I'm going to do now is play... Okay, by the game rules, the rules that
enable, like when you're more important, you have like cool bobsleigh, and have money is more important than, like making do with what you have. So the last scene having to do with conflict, even though it has to do with conflict, it's a film about collaboration. There's not too many like this because, competition lends itself to the cinema, not so much collaboration. So this is the First World War, and Einstein has just discovered the theory of relativity, but he can't prove it. So there's a mathematician and physicist called Eddington, who's English, who decides to travel to Africa to see if there's going to be an eclipse, and maybe with the eclipse he can measure whether the light coming from the stars curves with gravity, and that would help demonstrate Einstein's theory. If he helps him, on the one hand he's helping a physician from an enemy country. Einstein is in Germany, he is English, and they're at war, but he's also helping deconstruct the paradigm of where he has grown up, which is the Newtonian paradigm. All his teachings are derived from this, but in spite of this, he travels to take the picture of the eclipse, then comes back to England to show it.
This is it. The comparison plate is in position.
No. We should do this in public. We should share this with anyone who wants to witness it. Right or wrong, this moment is for all of science.
If the stars on this photographic plate of the eclipse overlap with the comparison plate, Einstein is wrong and Newton's theory holds. If there is a gap between the two images, then the sun's gravitational field has shifted the star's position and we have a new theory of gravity.
A gap.
Einstein. I call upon Arthur Eddington.
None of us can know what the world is in the way that we used to know it. Einstein says,
as the Newtonians walking out the room.
Einstein says that time is not the same for all of us, but different for each one of us.
La chica.
The girl.
It's very hard to conceive of such separate views, of such relative ways of seeing. Today is the first day of a new world that is much harder to live in, less certain, more lonely, but which has at its heart human endeavor.
Bueno, pues esta
Well, to me, this would be the second part of what I'm trying to say, where the grandfather uncle doesn't give what's expected to the child. And to tell the truth, you know, like time itself, nothing is sure. And sometimes you have to pick up the baton to help the people who are coming in behind. And sometimes you'll have to actually reject the trophy and actually lose on purpose. Other times you will have to walk with the bobsleigh on your back. We're never going to be totally sure that we're doing the right thing. And learning how to live with that it's complicated, isn't it? Because you know, like those great principles that you stand behind, sometimes they go, they're actually superseded by a political context, by suffering that comes along that puts them at a second level. Sometimes it's the other way around. We'll have to take that suffering on in the name of a series of ideals that we have defended. You know, this isn't written down anyway. It's not official that everything's going to go wrong, that we will always be defeated. But on the other hand, we don't know that everything's going to turn out okay and we'll always win. What is certain is that when it comes to decide, not only are we going to put our weight on the truth, but we're going to put our weight on people, collaborating and maybe also fighting. And I want to play a scene written by the author of The Princess Bride. He wrote it for the film Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. But before that, I want to tell you something else about genres. Which the scene is, you know, the saint over the cliffs, the jump over the deadly cliffs. But there's another jump that I wanted to play, which is, you know, the big jump into the abyss from Thelma and Louise. As you'll remember, this is two women who have, in the face of masculine violence, have been chased by women, but they actually decide to jump over the cliff with their car. The thing about Thelma and Louise is that it's a film that takes a reality, which is a hard reality, into something beautiful, but still keeping that hard edge. It's an important film, you know, like something you can watch some days, but not for those days where you need what's nice. It's a film where that jump leads nowhere. The jump that we're about to see now does lead somewhere.
If we fight, we stay right where they are and starve us out. Or go for position, shoot us. Might even get a rock slide started and get us that way. What else can I do?
They could surrender to us, but I wouldn't count on that. They're going for position, all right. Better get ready.
Kid, the next time I say let's go someplace like Bolivia, let's go someplace like Bolivia.
Next time. Ready?
No, we'll jump.
Like hell we will.
No, it'll be okay. If the water's deep enough, we don't get squished to death. They'll never follow us.
How do you know?
Would you make a jump like that you didn't have to?
I have to, and I'm not gonna.
Well, we got to, otherwise we're dead. They're just gonna have to go back down the same way they come. Come on.
Just one clear shot, that's all I want.
Come on. We got to.
Up. Get away from me.
Why?
I want to fight them.
They'll kill us.
Maybe.
You want to die?
Do you?
All right. I'll jump first.
No.
Then you jump first.
No, I said.
What's the matter with you?
I can't swim.
Why, are you crazy? The fall will probably kill you.
We'll always remember this moment from this film, the moment where they throw themselves over the cliff. It was like the cliffs of madness from The Princess Bride, but I wanted to read the dialogue because I think it's very important. I want to read it out loud to you in a summarized version because I think it's very important for what I'm talking about. If we fight, they can stay there and starve us to death, or they can be around us and shoot us, or they can start a landslide and squash us, or they could surrender to us, but I wouldn't count on that. We could jump. They wouldn't follow us. How do you know? Would you jump if you didn't have to do it? So this, for me, this last question summarizes everything that I've wanted to share with you today, because what an audiovisual source code does is tell a story and asks you to believe in something. So if you ask me what I want you to believe, it's that things sometimes do go well, they work out. I think fiction offers us a way of believing, and even though people say that it's better to have something to cling to, something to hold on to, we're never going to have all the necessary information to. So it's not enough to get carried away by fiction and believe everything. You also have to know that living is unsafe, it's not safe, it's not secure, and that we sometimes need fiction, which I think is has the common accent, which is the nice bits of life. And what we can find in it is this question: would you jump if you didn't have to? I think we can say that all of us here would say yes, we would jump, because when we analyze this particular moment, we see that we have a need for the nice, for niceness, not just for its own sake, but because the reality around us is intolerable, because there's rotten water in the deserted streets that's asking for a storm. And this is why, in spite of everything, I think it's better for us to jump together and remember that it hasn't been written anywhere that if we come together and we take risks, it doesn't say anywhere that things won't go right. There's no reason to believe that they won't. So over the last week, I've been asking my friends and my family for a joke to finish with. I've been a pain in the bum to them because I wanted the joke to finish this talk to, but all I can say is that you can't do things alone, but you can do them with friends. And so I thank you for having shared this moment with me. Thank you very much.
Bueno,